Ultimatum is returning in the current patch, and I wanted to league start a character who can excel at that mechanic. With all the new gems, the new ascendancies, this is the most excited I've been for a league in over a year. Why hello there, Exile. This will be the third time that I'm league starting Wave of Conviction. I league started this in both Sanctum and Crucible leagues, and it's been my favorite build that I've played in I think the last year. Today I'll be demoing 2 setups, but providing 3 POVs. First, we're looking at about a 15 divine setup. Realistically, it's probably like 10, but it's my goal for about day 3 or 4. Then we'll look at some gameplay from my day 1 intended setup, where we'll be using that to fill in our Atlas and kill the pinnacle bosses. I'll also be providing my level 100 POB from my Sanctum character so that you could see where you could potentially take the build. Be careful when you're looking at that level 100 POB though, because using Replica Emberwake, it severely reduces the duration of ignites, and if you don't have any duration at all or reduce it too much, then your chain cascades from your explosions aren't going to ignite tick at all. Also, you have to be very careful about using Eye of Malice until you know that you definitely can put all monsters in negative resist, because if you're trying to farm content, let's say like an Essence, they have very, very high resist. You're not going to be able to put them into negative, and that helm is going to make them tankier. So stay away from that unless you know what you're doing. Wave of Conviction Ignite Prolif is great for farming AoE mechanics, but until you invest currency, it is mediocre bossing. To compensate for that, we'll be using Vel Karas gloves with Val Flame Blast to assist with a single target. We can get Chain Cascades with Obliteration Wand, a source of Ignite Prolif, and the Elemental Ascendancy that makes all damage ignite. Early on, you can use Barrack's Ring, but the ring transfers ignites, which is a little bit different from Prolif. Prolif will stay on the corpse and create ignite zones for the remaining duration. For Ultimatum, we'll want generic Ignite Prolif, which we can get from Medium Cluster Jewel, or for gloves, but it's way too hard to roll on the gloves, so just take the Medium Cluster Jewel. Right now, my Atlas is set up for both Legion and Expedition. I've been experimenting with the Instant Explode Expedition node, but there are a few too many bad nodes where I don't think I would ever run that for this build after testing it for several hours. Also, for Legion, I would ideally want a little bit more damage than what I currently have, but I figured I would showcase it anyways, so you would know if you wanted to farm this, and I think it's the best indicator of how tanky the monsters in Ultimatum likely will be. My strategy with this setup is to do all the Legions, kill the boss, pop all the quantity rarity altars, and then do the Expedition. In the actual league, I will likely run a similar strategy to what I currently am in this video, but I'll be replacing Legions with Ultimatum. I highly recommend running Eater altars with this build because the Searing Exarch altars can increase the fire resist, especially if you're using Eye of Malice. Then it's possible that they're going to be capped on fire res or over capped on fire res, and then you're going to die to the altar monsters. We got a really bad Expedition here because it is immune to curses, which we rely on to lower the resist, 100% avoid ailments, which completely bricks the build, immune to chaos, which makes our obliteration wands, chain reactions unable to do any damage, and immune to fire, so most of our initial hit and our ignite would be gone from that. But I'll go ahead and grab the quantity altars here, place the explosives in a spot where it won't hit these. It's not really a good demo of what farming Expedition looks like, but you know, RNG is RNG. So what you'll actually want to do though is not pick up the explode everything all at once, so you can place strategic explosives. Then you're going to want to trigger them, back up, and let all the monsters spawn, and then just run through, do 1 to 2 Wave of Convictions, and it should kill all the monsters in it. In my higher end setups, I use Carcass Jack for increased AoE, and I also like to get increased AoE from a corruption on Obliteration Wand. If the league turns out to be really difficult and very rippy, or Ultimatum proves to be pretty rippy, which it might, I'll make a few adjustments to the build, which Tripolar Bear used in his Vortex Ignite build. So we can grab a Blood Notch Jewel and a Mutable Force with the Energy Shield Mastery. That makes it so that we get stunned all the time, and then basically we're recouping half the hit. Now, speaking of recovery, that's one of the other main weaknesses of the build. I'm using Fire Leech on a helmet corruption, Vitality for regen, and then life gained on spell suppress. Lastly, I also like to use both life and % life gained on kill to be able to get topped off in between packs. Don't be afraid to pick up 50% recoup on the tree if you're having problems surviving, especially early on. Anyways, Tripolar Bear runs 50% recoup, 60% from the jewel, and then runs Petrified Blood. With this setup, you'll always out-recoup the dot damage, and then you can just use Insta Flask when you're on low life to go back to full. You should consider the setup especially if you want to farm rippier content like Delirium. Also, you can consider switching to Cloak of Flames because it gives Fizz taken as fire, which is different from hits taken as fire because it also applies to Corrupting Blood, Bleeds, and Fizz degens. Here's a quick look at the loot. We got a Forbidden Tome, but since we didn't do the full expedition, not that great of loot. Still some stacked decks and stuff, so we did make profit. Okay, here's a tier 16 on our 5-link day 1 setup. And I'm just gonna clear everything, you know, on this, regardless of what I get. Okay, I got a Legion. I'm gonna clear it even though really I probably wouldn't have the Atlas set up at this point for Legion. That would be one of the things I'm grabbing later, and I really don't think I have the damage for it, but you could just still see that I can in fact clear the Legion. No problem, and also survive it. Now, this is a level 91 character, but I only spent 83 skill points. You get about 12 life per level, so my life is overstated by about 240, 250 right now. So anytime, pay attention during the demo, anytime that I got down to like 250 life, I would have died basically. But you can grab more life nodes or something like that until you get more damage. Don't be afraid to put life nodes in temporarily, especially when you're leveling. All right, so this is clear. We're picking everything up. I don't care about picking everything up. It's in standard. Who cares? Okay, maybe we won't pick everything up. But look at those explosions already at this level, and a lot of things are going to struggle with packs, or we're going to be able to like one-shot the rares, and if they're super tanky rares, well, then we just go ahead and drop our Ball of Flame Blast on them. And I'm only going to pick up these altars if they have good stuff in it, so like that there, not worth picking up, especially on like day 1 of the league, because it's just too rippy for no trade-off. I would grab the quant ones before I blow the expedition, but otherwise probably going to ignore unless it's like some really good stuff that's pretty valuable. It's like that one I would normally grab. Another Forgotten Tome? Okay, I read 2 maps total. I got 2 Forgotten Tomes. Well, using some of my luck. Okay, I have the spawn random shrine thing on my setup, and you get 2 things. So, well, we got speed shrines and echo shrines and all that good stuff. So I guess it's not really a good indicator because now we're looking even faster. All right, here's our expedition. It's another terrible one, and this is why, once again, I won't be going with the 1 explosion, but I haven't taken that out yet. So, you know, it is what it is. We're going to have to just do that. While I have these shrines, I'm just going to go ahead and go through here and clear really quick, and then we'll back up and do the whole expedition thing. So we got to be careful. There's the 100% avoidance again, and the chaos damage. So that would make the explosion not good at all. So we're just going to have to do a partial one and like put it over here. Come on, Rog. It wasn't letting me put it. Come on. Okay. All right, placed. Let's go, baby. Okay. If you see the Soul Eater thing like that, you definitely want to Flame Blast those, because you're going to insta-kill a bunch of monsters, they're going to get damage reduction, and they're probably going to kill you. So have a look out on that. That's where a majority of my deaths come from on this strategy, is just some stupid Soul Eater monster that gets like 100 instantly, and then if I don't have enough damage, I'm just screwed. But here's the boss then. And we just put our debuffs on, and we Ball Flame Blast him, we wait. And the nice thing about the Ignite is you just kind of put it on and you could run around. I'm going to try something different today where I'm just going to kind of fill it in with POB and kind of talk over it. So you're going to come out this way, I like to grab this because I'm a noob and I die. Okay, Firewalker, if we're going the fire one, otherwise you can grab the lightning. I like to path this way and grab elemental overload. If you're a noob, probably should grab some more health there. You grab these lightning nodes if you want. Otherwise, we're going to go down here. If you're going the fire, you would grab these and get this critical strikes, not inherently ignite, but you get damage with hits for ignite, very strong. These nodes are pretty decent. You can go down here and get an extra brand and maybe go into brand if you're going the storm brand. Then we'd come this way. You can grab these minion nodes if you want, and also grab these minion wheels for attack and cast speed so that you can move quickly with shield charge or leap slam or whatever you want to do. Or you could come down here and get the elemental, or you can go into this spot here and grab these nodes because they're pretty good. There's also these aura nodes here. So it's all up to you kind of what you want to do with it. I usually probably would go something like this. And then we'd be grabbing that crit or that hit for the more powerful hits. Then we could come over here and grab these damage over time multipliers and this Heart of Flame like that. And then go into maybe more life like this and here. There's some life nodes here if you want to path differently. There's life nodes here. There's recoup here and here, which are good to grab. So that's kind of like the gist of probably what I will go with early. Or instead, you can go for EB really early too, once you get some of these nodes and not go down here and not go into this area. Because this area is like really, really good. This gives some elemental duration with some good elemental damage. This gives a little bit of spell suppression. You don't really need spell suppression super early on. There's damage over time nodes here. So you can go like with this spell suppress. These nodes are all good. So you could kind of do something like this as well if you want. Or go this way so you can get this. There's also this cluster here for life. So it kind of like really depends on where you want to go. But this is kind of like the core-ish tree idea. And then you kind of make it what you are. This, like you're definitely doing this little part. Then you have to choose what you want to do on this side and this side. And go Shaper of Flames first, and then Shaper of Storms, then Mastermind of Discord, then Heart of Destruction. Let's very briefly go over some leveling here. So in Act 1, you can either go with Storm Blast Mine, Orb of Storms with Flame Totem, Freezing Pulse with Frost Bomb, Flame Totem, and Flame Wall. Or Racers are going Magna Orb, but you got to position yourself such that it's hitting twice. I'm too lazy for that. Flame Totem and Flame Wall. I like to go with the Storm Blast Mine, Orb of Storms, Flame Totem. At level 12, I'll add in Storm Brand. Then in Act 2, what you usually want to go is either Storm Blast Mine with Orb of Storm. Then you make sure that Wave of Conviction with Lightning is dominant so that you're getting the exposure. And then Storm Brand, so you use Herald of Thunder with a Skitterbot. Or you can go with Magma Orb, Flame Totem, Flame Wall, Wave of Conviction, which is Fire, with Herald of Ash and Skitterbot. Then in Act 3, we get the very, very strong Armageddon Brand and Cremation. So you're going to want to switch into that. So now you use Armageddon Brand as your primary with Cremation. And then you still on bosses would use Flame Totem, Flame Wall, Wave of Conviction. You're still using Herald of Ash and Skitterbot and Flammability. And you grab the first Ascendancy that guarantees the Ignite. And for the most part, most packs, Armageddon Brand is just going to one-tap them. So you just put it on and then just run past and they'll eventually die. I'm Exile just recently set the world record for fastest Act 10 Katava kill, basically using the strategy from Act 3 on with the Arma, Cremation, Flame Totem, Flame Wall, Wave of Conviction, Herald of Ash, Skitter. So you could look up his VOD on his Twitch channel. Here's a quick look at the full tree for the council people. And I went with Fire Mastery here, Reservation Mastery, Spell Suppression Mastery. This is Careful Planning to convert Int to Dex. And then we went with Shaper of Flames, Shaper of Storms, Mastermind of Discord, and finally Heart of Destruction. And then I went Soul of the Brine Keem with Soul of Aberath. Here's the skill gems. And here are the items.